Hey guys, this is Taryn, and oh my gosh, I am in my car. And yeah, so this is so funny. I'm in my car. But anywho, I'm going to keep doing it. I don't know why. Yeah, I'm trying to put my face right where you guys can see. This is Taryn, season number 9, episode number 14. I did not account for it being dark outside. So this is mood lighting for the show. So, as you all know, this is the Taryn Lamp Show. We just go right off. We're authentic, we're true to ourselves. So, here I am. I'm just cracking up that I'm in my car and I did not account for it being dark outside. But anyway, this is season number 9, episode number 14. We have a great episode for you here today, even in the dark. So, she's probably not going to be in the dark. So, let me go ahead and get her on. Nishitha, let me get you on here. Let me see. You're not in the dark, and it's just me. Season 9, episode number 14, The Taryn Lamp Show. Hello, how are you?
How are you?
I am laughing so hard because I said I was coming from a meeting. I did not account for it being dark outside.
No, it's all good. We're in this like weird, we're transitioning. Is it fall? Is it winter? So I get it.
I'm
We
like, oh
can't
my
count
gosh,
for.
it is dark, but you're not in the dark, which is most important.
No, I am in the office, but it's super the office around here, it's like surrounded by woods. So if I turn the light off, it's like pitch black, even if the windows are open.
I'm like, feel like I should do like this, but then I'm look like I should be on the Sixth Sense, so I'm like, probably not. Um, Oh, okay, let's get started. Well, thank you so much, Nishitha, right? Am I saying it
Yeah,
correctly?
you're saying it correctly.
Um, for joining us. We know each other through a few channels, but most importantly, I think that one of the things that you do is you empower us. I'm going to say us being women, and also thinking about obviously keeping our male allies in our minds. But you empower us to do some things that we've not necessarily thought that we could do. And that's one of the things that you and I have talked about when we had a discussion about you coming on, is just saying, like, you know, what does this look like for, um, one of the things you work with is the Unlocked Foundation, and closing that wealth gap, particularly amongst females, and then even furthermore getting into what you do and sharing your journey of investing and how you can help us. I don't want to get too much into it because I want you to tell your story real quick. And if you could just share with us kind of what you do and kind of how you got there and what gave you the passion for doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's so many ways I can like say this, right? And there's a lot, you just touched on so many things I want to talk about. But to take a step back, so I'm Nishitha, I'm from New Jersey. Just kind of talking about my professional journey and how our paths cross and how I'm, on the show today. I went through the question that everyone asked themselves at one point is, what do I want to be when I grow up? And I definitely had many iterations. I think my first answer was James Bond. I'm not, unfortunately. I don't have a good poker face, so that was not going to work out at any point. And then I went to college, wanted to be a doctor, took chemistry. It's like, nope, absolutely not. And ended up becoming an economics major, got an internship at Johnson and Johnson, which, that really was such a catalyst for me in terms of the people I met. I know you work there now, and that's how I met all of my co-founders for the Unlocked Foundation. And while I was in college, the team that I worked at was a data science team. And at the time, they were still building out the infrastructure for data science. And now it's, it's its own like center of excellence, and it's a lot more robust. But because I was so lucky to join, when it was a smaller team, it was a startup in a multi-billion dollar company. So I fully took advantage of that, was surrounded by such brilliant minds and opportunities where I really got to learn end to end, not only about data science, but also about, you know, uh, like how to scale projects, how to really like what is, how do you take an idea and execute it? All while all this was going on, my mom started her real estate company, and she is a realtor by profession. And so I got my license just to help her out very early on, right after college. And honestly, I never considered it as a career. So I was like, she's an extremely extroverted person. And like sometimes she acts that like, I think she's a therapist more than an agent. And I mean, it is an emotional decision, right? It's a lot of money. People are buying their homes, but I would go through it and I was like, you know what? Like, it's not for me. Like, I don't have the patience or the aptitude to do this as a career. But it was a great, side hustle. And then she started doing more commercial deals, and that kind of piqued my interest. I was like, okay, this is interesting. Um, at the same time, I still, was going up the corporate ladder, switched companies, all of that fun stuff, did different divisions. Um, and during the pandemic, I, like everyone, had so much time. So I got my certification in commercial real estate. So I went through the process to get what is the designation is called CCIM, which stands for Certified Commercial Investment Member. And that really indoctrinates you into a fraternity of real estate professionals. So they exchange deals, they, help each other out in negotiations or bring in experts as needed for these types of deals. So the more and more I was exposed to this network, the more and more intrigued I was, because it's so like the knowledge is really held within
Mhm.
within a bubble. I think like there is you start seeing these like gurus on Instagram and stuff, and not it's not a knock on them. I think that the knowledge is getting democratized, but still it's very it's like hold like the access to the deals and everything, it's kind of held behind closed doors. So now that I had this, this network and this opportunity, at the same time, I was like, you know what? I'm not really fulfilled by corporate America. What I like is challenges, constant, learning. And honestly, like I want my days to look different every day.
Mhm.
And so I was like, was at this impasse where I needed to make a decision and either jump and do this full time. But I didn't want to, I was scared because I didn't think that there was enough knowledge that I had, even though I went through the certification, one of the youngest to receive the certification, did it, you have to show a portfolio, you have to go through coursework. I still was like, you know what, I don't know if I can make it. But as the more and more I talk to people, the more I realize not only is the knowledge, held behind closed doors, but there's so many misnomers around
Mhm.
commercial real estate. There's this idea that you have to be super successful or you have to already be a millionaire in order to start investing, and that's false. Like, of course, there is, the assets that you're looking at are bigger, and it helps if you have the capital, right? Money makes money, but if you there's a lot of people that just have access to the developers, or to the brokers, that it's a conversation. It's like, hey, I got this deal, you want to get in? And that's where the Unlocked Foundation comes. Is we want to build that community for women to think of, to have those conversations, because I think women are uniquely challenged where they do not talk about money, but the only way, truthfully, for all of us to make money is if we start talking about it.
So you said a couple things. So you guys, this is the Taryn Lamp Show, season 9, episode 14. I apologize for being in the complete dark. I'm in my car. I came from a work meeting, forgot it was going to be dark. So there's that. Um, Make sure you're liking, following, sharing, subscribing. This episode will also be on Spotify. It'll be on Apple Podcasts. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on all the channels, and we'll both have it on our channels as well. So you said a couple things. One of the things you said, and one of the questions I sent to you was, what are the obstacles? And when you were explaining this, you said
Mhm.
fraternity. And that makes me think, wow, what is this obstacle for women, right?
Yeah.
This seems to be, and you're mentioning it as you're talking about Unlocked and having, women explore this area more. But, how did you overcome that obstacle of this being, for all intents and purposes, right, male dominated?
Yeah, I mean, so if I'm like, I thought about this question, and as an industry, there's a lot, or honestly, taking a step back, women in general have many obstacles when it comes to the corporate world. But for me, personally, the biggest obstacles were internal. And I do think that's actually something, we talk about it at the Unlock Foundation all the time. You need to recognize that there's a problem in how you approach networking. It's not for everyone. It's at, you have to be at a certain level of kind of safety and financial freedom to start thinking about these things. But yeah, I mean, for me, I really think it was more internal, whether like imposter syndrome. No matter how many, um,
Right. Someone gave you a thumbs up
accolades,
on that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like honestly, like I have to say, I've been really lucky that given the opportunities, given the connections that my mom had, and the people that I've met through CCIM, I've really, I don't know that I've found like, there's like small comments that happen. Selling Sunset, honestly, I think I hate that show. Not anything about them, but I think it's set, it set women back in real
Mhm.
estate. No one's showing up in crop tops to work. But I I do think like more it's you need to believe that you can do it. And that took a
Okay.
lot of self-work, right? It's like I have all the qualifications. Now I have to I'm not saying I know everything, but I'm in this room for a reason. And I'll give you an example. Like there was a
Ooh,
deal
wait.
that
I'm going to write
yeah,
that down. I'm in this room for a reason. I like that one.
yeah, and
Okay.
I mean it's honestly you need to believe it first because I'll tell you like one example where like I told myself I need to do a deal end to end where I find the buyer, I make this deal happen with no, help from anyone else, just my network, my resources in order to kind of do this full time. And I remember being in this room, all of them were men. Um, and we kind of hit this inflection point where, someone needed to compromise or the deal was dead. The men like I was sitting there being like, okay, like, maybe like do we like reduce our commission, do we kind of make, and tell me, like, trust me, everyone was working extremely hard to make this deal get across the finish line. The men in the room were ready to walk away. They were like, if I'm not getting paid what I'm worth, this is not like, I don't want to do the rest of the work, I'm going to cut my losses. I was like, okay, well, a piece of the pie is better than, nothing,
Mhm.
right? And honestly, like I feel like after kind of signing and I'm like, making the decision, I had to like kind of come back and sit with that. Why was I playing peacemaker? Now, I don't think like I'm at a point in my career where I don't like it's more advantageous for me to take the deals and get build the portfolio than to like harp on my number. Um, but what subconscious,
Mhm.
like why am I undervaluing myself? Why shouldn't I be the one asking for what I'm worth and sticking to it? And I think that's where, that is like a very conscious like conscious behavior that I had to unlearn.
Mhm.
Like you cannot be happy that you're in the room. Like you need to take and you need to work hard to get in the room. But after you're in the room, you should not be doubting whether or not you belong there because everyone else is going to be like there's going to be shots coming at you from everywhere, right? So you have to at least, be strong and hold strong.
Yeah, so what I hear you saying, so you guys, this is the Taryn Lamb Show, season 9, episode 14. Make sure you're liking, following, sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff. What I hear you saying is like this obstacle really didn't come from the outside. It was like what you thought of yourself and how to kind of get over your own, blocks. And once you started to realize that that was even the obstacle, you could take that by the bull by the horns, if you will, and say, hey, I need to get over this for myself, right?
Yeah,
Not that necessarily, I mean, yeah, it's coming from everywhere, but you're the one who can control that, if you will,
exactly.
and you're the one who can control your reaction to it. And I
Exactly.
think that's interesting because, when you're sitting in that room full of, again, like a male dominated space, um, to be able to sit there and take control of your own, whatever it is, right? Your own pay, your own career, your own whatever. I think it's very empowering because, like you said, what is it about them and what is it about me that makes me want to give, you know, give up something when they're ready to say, whatever, if I don't get paid, I'm not doing it, you
Yeah,
know?
and I just want to add, like, I don't think, especially specifically commercial real estate or even financial industries in general, there is, if you're not in the industry or if there isn't someone that's kind of giving you the advice, giving you the knowledge, it's very hard to get in, right?
Hmm.
Male, female, whatever, it doesn't matter. I think yes, it is harder for women, but that can be said across industry. But uh, for a lot of like what like even to get into that room is so difficult that I think that's where I realized there's a gap,
Hmm.
especially with
Okay.
commercial real estate is you know what, like there are all of these opportunities, but no one's getting access to them. And it's not that you need to have $1 million to invest. You can. There's really great opportunities where you need 50,000, 100,000. And not to say that's, a little money, but more people can write $100,000 check than $1 million check. And it's a great way, like real estate is in general is a great way to act as a pass through for your taxes. So it's a great asset class and should be a part of your diversified portfolio. But how do like you need someone to hold your hand? And that's really where I was like, okay, if I don't believe
Hmm.
with the knowledge, with the advantages that I have, that I belong in this room, how can I hold or help other people to even, make the table bigger?
So let's get into that because we're gonna have you back because I feel like we have so much to say. But we had this question come up in our chat, and so we've said it a couple times about the barrier to entry, right? And let's say we know you, so we can ask you, and when people are listening to this, they'll be able to, they know you. We're gonna see before we end how they can find you. But what does that look like with regards to people do think I have to have millions, right? Millions. And I know there's no exact number, but when we think about, and I just am going to speak for myself, even when I think about just from the female perspective, you know, you just think about it, you just think, oh my gosh, like I'm sitting in my car, there's a building right here, the commercial building right here. And I'm like, really? Like, could I do it? Like, what does that look
Yeah.
like for somebody who might be interested? How, what does that have to look like for them financially?
Yeah, I mean, I love this question. Um, and the answer is it depends. It depends
Hmm.
on what you want out of it, right? Like if you just want to get into real estate investment, like there are REITs that you can, if you download Robinhood or any like investment apps, there are funds that are specifically, focused on real estate where you can, the barrier to entry is $10, $15. It's like any other stock. Now, if you want your own asset, that's when you need to have a down payment, you need to have, so it depends on, what you're looking for and what your goals are. What we try to do, and just take a step back, like the fact that you said it's a big building, commercial assets are technically any building, any residential unit with four or more units,
Okay.
or like warehouses, strip malls, everything, that's all considered commercial. So it's not
It's
just a skyscraper.
not just, yeah.
Yeah, it's not just like the huge office buildings, but it's a complete mix of asset types. So I think, first you need to ask yourself what the person that should come into commercial real estate investing is someone that already is just looking to diversify their portfolio, right? You should, already be investing in stocks, and let's say you have 25 to 50K is like the minimum, and that's where our company comes in, is where we partner with developers to specifically source projects where they're doing equity raises to say, like, we like just for you guys to learn about the nomenclature, what cap
Hmm.
rates are, what IRR are. These are developers that have a huge portfolio. They need money, right? They don't care where the money's coming from. So our company actually acts as a GP. We'll buy shares from them and say, okay, we want to help more people get into commercial real estate investing. So this is a great first project where you don't own the asset, but you're still getting the benefit of, you own like a piece of the building. Um, and then if you do have, 100 to 200,000, that's when there's, you can start thinking about getting your own assets, right? Like, or syndicating with one or two friends. And that's, also what our company does. So the answer is it's never too small, it's never too big. And you should really think of it as a continuum, not a one and done. But you start graduate, and that's how, like, I'm not a financial advisor, but I can share my stories. I only invest in stocks, in S&P 500 mutual funds. Every bonus I get, I put it in there. Once I had about 50,000, I bought a rental property and then started taking equity out there, took the capital gains from once I sold my rental property and then put it into commercial real estate. Um, and I think that's what we want to do, is we want to, at Sun Realtors Group, want to partner with you regardless of where you are in the journey, but really to get you to the point where you own your own assets and it's cash flowing.
So, so if you go back and listen to this, she's saying there's a variety of ways. So I'm not going to go through all the ways that she went through because I don't know them and I just heard them too for the first time for a lot of you. But it does pique my interest, like I told you before, is I think that that's one of the things people. I'm going to go specific to women. That's one of the things we think, right? Is that you need to have millions to be able to do this. And I think you've kind of given us, you know, options here to say, hey, let's take a step back and let's see kind of how can we build into this, right? Like
Yeah.
we can take something and I think you said before, and I know Severia says it too, like she says money is meant to be grown, and you said make money, money makes money,
Yeah.
basically. So, how can we look at in doing that?
Yeah.
One of the questions, go ahead.
No,
Were you
I
going
was
to say
just gonna
something?
say, I think I want to just amend that statement to say even talking about money makes money. You should
Right.
be able to, or that's like the first step, right? I'll think about how to phrase that, but it's like, you have to start having these conversations with your inner circle. I don't think, there's a lot of cultural context and assumptions that get made, so you have to be careful who you share this with. But if you don't have the conversation of what are the deals, what did you do, what can I do, and start kind of exchanging those tips and tricks, you don't even get the like, forget about what to invest in, you're not even thinking that way. And
Right, right,
that's really what we try to do at the Unlock Foundation, is create these money tables and get women specifically that haven't, look, think about it, women have only been in the workforce for 50 years or something like that. It's 57, yeah, 1950s, 70 years. Sorry about that.
yeah.
70 years. So
Not a
anyway,
long
less than 100.
time.
Not a long
Yeah.
time. So there's a shift that's happening, but we need to, steal from our male counterparts and start talking about these at drinks, at dinner with the girls, whatever that might be, to, make ourselves more comfortable with this topic.
Yeah, I think like you said, having the conversation, right? It starts
Yeah.
there. I know you're trying to do that. And that was another question that we had written down, and I want to speak specifically to what you do with Unlocked, but I think there's also, what you do with your group as well on building community and what that looks like for you and what your kind of thoughts are even to the future of how you want to build this opportunity, if you will, for us to break down these barriers into getting into commercial real estate.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about Unlocked first because I think we've made a lot of headway, and I shamelessly steal from the strategies that we implement at Unlocked for my own company. It's first just kind of being very clear about the mission. So with Unlocked, our goal is to bring women to the money table to help them take the steps to close the wealth gap. We want to be an actionable resource group for you. So all of our events, all of our entire network is really helped and focused around, kind of connecting women and first bringing awareness to the psychological barriers, and just saying, like, guys, like, why? I mean, think about it. Like, women talk about everything. I think I know so much about my
Yeah.
friends that honestly I don't need to know, but I don't really know, like, how much are they making, what does their portfolio look like, what kind of financial, anything about their finances. I don't need to know the specifics, but opening up that dialogue, it has really, been a huge eye opener for me and my
Well,
friends, because we're like,
opening
oh,
up that dialogue is building community, right?
exactly, yeah,
What you're
exactly.
doing, yeah, that's how you're doing that. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
and I think that's what I'm trying to do with the Sun Realtors Group, and even just kind of coming on the show, and that's why I'm so grateful for this opportunity. There's so much knowledge that, like, first we need to just be like, okay, let's take a second, like, what is cap rates? You should know, we should all know about this. This is the statistic that's going to get, or it's the KPI that's going to get thrown at you all the time. What does that mean to you, right?
Mhm.
Breaking it down. And I'm starting that, right? So it's still new. I'm still learning, and honestly, I'm not really that. I'm Gen Z, but I'm not really that good with social media, so I'm figuring it out as I go. But I think the idea and the purpose there is really to help bring down the knowledge barriers, as well as give you the opportunities to say, okay, we have this deal, we've mitigated the risk as much as
Mhm.
possible, and we've made the minimum amount as low as possible for the fact that you own a piece of the asset. Um, do you want to come in just to learn? And I think that's what I tell my clients all the time, is like, just to learn about what it looks like. What does CRE look like? And then as you learn, we can grow with you.
I think that is, I mean, literally, like when I think about, I think that's one thing we could, like we, meaning me and you,
Yeah,
like have a show, you and I, have a show where it's like, okay, break down like a few of these acronyms and tell
yeah.
people, what they mean. We've got about 4 minutes left. So I have two more questions for you. One is specifically about your group. Please let everyone know, because this is going to be just the audio will be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and such. So please let people know specifically the services you do and how they can get in contact with you.
Yeah. So we're Sun Realtors Group. We're a brokerage based out of New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. But we have agents and partnerships across the country. So we act as traditional brokers, both residential and commercial. I specifically head up our commercial investing group. And honestly, it's anyone, wherever you are, if you're curious about commercial real estate, you have a few assets you want to expand. What we do is leverage our network. We have access to off market deals across asset classes, with a focus on hospitality and multifamily. Um, and then, of course, we also now have added that's what I talked about, before, is trying to bring down the barriers to entry. So we have specific deals where we partner with developers, mainly in New Jersey and New York, because that's where I'm based. Um, but we partner with developers to allow people to get into CRE investing at the bare minimum. And you can find me, we're at sunrealtorsgroup.com, and you can just email me at Nishita, NISHITHA, at sunrealtorsgroup.com.
Say that one more time.
NISHITHA at sunrealtorsgroup.com. And
Okay.
there is no such thing as a stupid question. I really, really want to emphasize that, because it it is purposefully hard to get in. It's because there's a lot of money to be made, so a lot of people have the closed access. So there's no such thing as a stupid question. Please just reach out to us to even have a conversation, and then we will direct you regardless of where you are.
And guys, if you're listening and you don't want to reach out to her directly, you can reach out to me, but know that I'm not going to give her information. I am going to give her your information. So just so you know, if you reach out to me, I don't pass along people's information. I will give her your information if you want me to, but it is not. I'm not in the business of passing along people's info. So I know a lot of people want to say, Taryn, give me her phone number. And I'm like, no, I'm not giving out people's phone number. So just so you know, if you contact me, I'm not in the business of doing that, but I will make sure that she gets your information and gets your contact information. Um, so I want to ask you, and we got 1 minute left, and this is always the trick question. So everybody listens to the show, Nishita knows that I take care of these crazy cats in my backyard. And we know curiosity and the cats. So what are you curious about?
Uh, oh, this is a really good question. I think my immediately I just wanted to say like a funny answer.
You can say
Which is I was gonna be
anything.
okay. Well, my immediate reaction was, I want to know who's gonna win the Champions League. I'm a huge soccer
Okay.
fan, so I was like, that was the first thing. But I think in general, I'm really curious about why
See?
people, but specifically women, don't believe that they can grow their wealth, and what are the barriers of entries for you to level up?
What are the barriers of entries, ladies, for you to level up? We are curious about that. And that's a really good question. And I want everybody to ask themselves that. So we are at 8 o'clock. I really appreciate your time. If you're listening to this, again, this is the Taryn Lamb Show, season 9, episode 14. If you're interested in commercial real estate, please reach out. And we're going to have Nishita back on because I feel like, all the terms, like we need to break those down. And so we're getting some hearts. So I think that's a good idea. I think it's a good idea too. Just to break down the terms. And
Right.
I think this is a platform where people can hear it without feeling like they're going to ask it, and unfortunately, this is where we kind of feel like, oh man, if we don't know it, can we reach out to her? Like if what we don't know.
Yes,
So
please do. Please reach out.
I appreciate your time. I am going to give you a buzz in just a second, and this will be on all platforms. And I know I'm 1 minute over, so I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening. Be good to yourself and each other. Until next time, talk to you soon. Bye. See you later.